The vocabulary we have this week, some of it is review, and all of it will be used on your ecosystem and energy pyramid posters. So let's quickly go through these words. Starting here at the top. We have, so ecosystem. Again, we talked about this yesterday. The ecosystem is the community of living things in a given area and the non-living surroundings all interacting. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. You can watch the flipped lesson. You should have many of them already.
Wait, are these grass is living?
Yes, grass is living. These are words that you will need for the poster and for the quiz. Okay? Excellent. So abiotic, again, we went over these yesterday. You know these. Abiotic are the non-living parts like rocks, dirt, and remember, it also includes things like air, water, and sunlight or energy. So it doesn't have to be matter, but of course, every living thing has to have air, water, and energy. Then, of course, we have the biotic parts, which are the living parts, the animals, plants, the protists, the fungi, the bacteria, and the archaea. All of those things we'll be talking about over the rest of the quarter. And you remember them because bio means life, like biology, and the prefix a means without. So biotic, abiotic. Autotroph and heterotroph, again, easy. We did these last week. You should have them written down already. Autotroph, but this week we also are calling the autotroph a producer. The producers, meaning they produce the food, as Tim and Moby mentioned, the producers are able to take the energy from the sun and store it, make it into food. And so they're at the bottom of the food chain, the food webs for all living things. Auto means self, troph means food. The heterotrophs eat the other things, also known as consumers, of course. Then, something new that you read about a little bit yesterday. Oops, nope, not yet. Decomposers are a type of consumer. Basically, they're breaking down dead things. They return nutrients to the ecosystem, fungi, bacteria, some animals, many of the protists. Without decomposers, all the dead things would just stack up, right? They wouldn't decay. And then all of the nutrients from the wouldn't go back into the soil. Then finally, again from yesterday, and these are new words, but I think they're pretty easy words. Breaking the consumers down, you have primary, which means first, right? Primary consumers, they're the ones that eat the autotrophs, also known as herbivores. So primary consumers, they directly are eating the plant eaters, and then the secondary consumers are eating the primary consumers, also known as carnivores. Okay? So it makes perfect sense. And when we put these things in our pyramid, the autotrophs, the producers, will be on the bottom. The primary consumers will be the first level. The secondary consumers will be the level after that. So it will be perfectly logical in our next picture, which will be the pyramid. Okay, so in our energy pyramid, and this you might recognize is a beautiful screenshot from the Tim and Moby from the Brain Pop. Energy comes from the sun. The sun has more than enough energy for, well, it has lots and lots of energy. Huge. The producers are the ones that harness the energy. So this is, it's called the energy pyramid. Herbivores, carnivores, top predators. And so then what we can add here is these words we just used, the producers, which of course we also know as the autotrophs. Examples, you guys, when you make your poster, you're going to be using this information, only you are going to pick a specific ecosystem like the desert or the forest or a pond or coral reef, and you're going to specifically say the producers in this ecosystem are, and you're going to give examples of those living things. So what are some examples of producers? Examples of producers are? Plants. Yeah, plants are the main ones. You got plants, you got algae. That's most of it. So then the herbivores, and what else are we going to call herbivores? What kind of consumers? Yes, they're called primary consumers. And then, yeah, you could have rabbits, you could have things like insects, anything that is an herbivore. Then we have here our secondary, oops, the secondary, I just wrote the same thing. Secondary consumers, also known as carnivores. And again, what's going to eat the rabbit? We could have a wolf or we could have a hawk. Primary consumers are the herbivores, like rabbits or insects. Okay? Yeah, that's not a great example. That's why it's kind of first. So if we put wolves here, nothing's really going to eat the wolves because wolves are really a top predator. So we have to move them up here. But if we put, let's put here in the herbivores, we could also have something like a mouse. And then we can wolf. The wolves are going to eat the mouse. They're going to eat the seeds, insects, and we could put birds here. We could put small birds here eating the insects, and then at the top you could have a hawk. But this brings up this, no. The wolves are a top predator. The hawks are a top predator. The hawks might eat smaller birds. Or the eagles. Okay? So the point here, though, that you guys have identified is that in different food chains, they're going to have a different number of levels, right? Some food chains might be producer, primary consumer, top predator. And some you're going to have 3 levels, and some you'll have more levels. And it depends specifically on what you're looking at. You can also call the top predator a tertiary consumer. Just means 3rd level. And then you have decomposers. So what happens next is even those living things up at the top predators that nothing else is feeding on in the food chain, when they die, the decomposers and the scavengers break those down and basically eat them, and then that goes back into the soil for the producers to use that energy. So another one of the words you'll see used is trophic level. Remember autotroph and heterotroph. Troph means to eat. And so trophic level is where the living thing is on the pyramid. Is it on the bottom? Is it in the middle? Is it primary, secondary? So trophic level. And in the video we just watched too, they were talking about the amount of energy available. So when we start way down at the bottom here, again with the sunlight, there's almost unlimited sunlight. So you've got lots and lots and lots of producers. They have nearly unlimited energy source. But when the herbivores eat them, they don't get every last little bit of energy out of them. What they only get, say there's 10,000 original calories, they get 1,000. So it's reduced by a factor of 10 each time. And I think we all know, obviously, in any ecosystem, you can have tons of plants. You're going to have quite a few herbivores, fewer carnivores, and the top predators, like the eagles, the sharks, the wolves, the lions, whatever is the top predator, they need a much larger range to get the amount of energy that they need. Okay? Does that make sense? from, this is right out of the textbook that you're going to read today. Right. This is in what you'll read today. Similar one here. We've got producers, you've got plants. Which ecosystem is this? You looked at this one yesterday.
Prairie.
Yeah, probably a prairie ecosystem. You got producers, the first level consumers. You've got all sorts of mice and voles and things like that. Second level consumers, we've got, the picture's kind of fuzzy here. What do we have, like weasels? Oh, we've got ferrets. And then the third level is going to be an owl in this case. Yesterday also we talked about food chains and food webs. Again, when you do your poster for your ecosystem, you might show something like this. Here you've got your food chain. A food chain might be the rabbit eats the plant, the fox eats the rabbit. So there's just two steps in this chain. Over here, the grasshopper eats the plants, the field mice eats the grasshopper, and the fox eats the field mouse. So you see some of these have 3 or 4 levels, and some of them just have 2 levels. And then down in the ground, we have the decomposers. Questions about that? And sharks. And I believe, okay, so that's most of what I wanted to show you. I'm going to give you the second worksheet today, which you will work on. Your poster might look something like having a prairie ecosystem like this, and then adding this level of detail. You need food chains, you need food webs, you need the food pyramid.